Book of 2 Ezra, chapter 15, and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the house shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All praise to Yahweh, by Shema Habashai, Wahara Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that scattered abroad amongst the heathen, something looking like the heathen, beginning with the 144,000. Beginning with the 144,000. Preachers, teachers, and prophets. Shalom. I'm watching this video, Fox 32 Chicago. Damn. A lot of judgment going out, y'all. Be safe out there. Hold on, because stuff just be popping up.
When you've got smoke-free satisfaction, you've got the freedom to do news out of Washington.
Got this video right here, Washington Post. Pentagon plans military deployment in Chicago. Now, I want you to hear what they say. Because they talking about the, what is it? I'm going to pull it up on my other phone because I want to hold the information I got concerning when the president can declare a national emergency. And that's the only way they can cancel out this how you say it, man? Kamatazi Posse. Let me type it in my other phone. I'm going to say it right. Kamatazi Posse Act. Some shit like that. Kamatazi something. I'll tell you what. The Posse Comitatus Act. That's what it is. The Posse Comitatus Act. Posse Comitatus Act. Alright, I'm going to read to you what it is off of this phone, my other phone. Yeah, overview. The Posse Comitatus Act is a U.S. federal law enacted in 1878 that restricts the use of the United States military to enforce domestic laws. It prohibits the Army and Air Force from acting as a posse comitatus, which means a power of the country, to execute the law, except when expressly authorized by the Constitution or a specific act of Congress. Key exceptions include the Insurrection Act. For major domestic rebellion or insurrection, certain counter-drug operations, and the civilian law enforcement authority of the U.S. Coast Guard. So you see, except key exceptions, including the Insurrection Act for major domestic rebellion or insurrection. So we just read to you in 2 Ezra 15 chapter, they are going to be able to avoid this Posse Comitatus Act by way of the Insurrection Act of 1807. It says long title, an act authorizing the employment of the land and naval forces of the United States in cases of insurrections, enacted by the Ninth United States Congress. All right? So you could go into that. Now that's the only way that they're going to be able to avoid this this Posse Comitatus Act. All right. Now we just read to you in 2 Ezra 15. What's going to happen? There should be insurrection or sedition among men. All right, and that they're going to come up against the government of rebellion. Okay. Civil war is what the verse above that reads. So you see, which is what domestic, a domestic disturbance. And you think it's a coincidence that they unleash National Guards, armed, by the way, to all 19 states. To 19 other states. Okay, that's come on, man. That's what, about a third of the United States. All right, about a third of the United States. Okay, hey, Trump already said he may declare a national emergency to do what he got to do. So I typed in, when can the president declare a national emergency in the U.S.? Hey, y'all, overview. The U.S. president can declare a national emergency at any time and without prior approval from Congress. Though the declaration must be published in the Federal Register and transmitted to Congress, this act enables the president to tap into over 100 statutory powers to address crises that cannot be resolved quickly through normal legislative or administrative means. In other words, you governors and you mayors of these states ain't doing nothing. Trump gonna take over. He already said it. And you can say that DC, not Chicago, and these governors and mayors of these states saying, hey, they don't need the military. It don't matter what you think. They pulling up statistics, fake statistics, videos, crime rates, and you best believe more things are going to happen while these things are going on, man. They're going to cause things to happen. They're going to make things happen so they could come through and declare the Insurrection Act, man. We just read in the scriptures. So it's going to be a lot of chaos going on these last few months in 2025 and most definitely 2026. Hey, at some point in time, they're going to bring forth the authority. Okay, they're going to bring forth the laws, man. Okay, the draconian laws. Okay? So this stuff is coming. So this ain't the time to be playing around, man. Like Elder Pastor Hart said, this ain't the time to be falling out the truth. Okay? Come on, man. Which the elect not going to fall out, and hey, we got to continue to fight and pray to Yahweh Shema Shai that, hey, they take not the Holy Spirit away from us, man, because that's all we have, y'all, man. That's all we got, man. Ain't nothing here. We've been waiting for this for a long time. We've been talking about this for a long time. A short time for me. But our elders, man, a long time. They put in the work for us. Then we put in work. But hey, they labor for us, man. All right? Well, they labor for Yahweh Shema Shai, but hey, we enter into their labors, man. All right? Though we still read and research and stuff like that, but they did the majority of the work. And we're just doing more research based off what they taught us, man. All right? But it says, this act, we read it, I'm sorry. It says, while a specific legal definition of an emergency doesn't exist, you see? While a specific legal definition of an emergency doesn't exist, a declaration is typically justified when there is an unusual and extraordinary threat to national security. And we told y'all concerning, hey, they could use the border, even though ain't nobody coming in at the border, so they say. But these criminals that they're labeling as, criminals are coming through here, the diseases that they came in through here with, we can't forget about that stuff because they're going to use all of that stuff, man. Don't forget about the terrorists, those that came in through the borders of the other nations. Hey, T attacks, all right, sleeper cells. All this stuff is going to be happening, man, and that's what's going to give Trump the authority to implement or declare the Insurrection Act, man. Just watch and wait for it. We read the prophecy, and that's going to be the same time as famine. Hey, stuff going to go higher in September and the last few months, man. It's not going to come back down. There's going to be shortages in the stores. All right? Now, we read in the prophecy, 2 Esdras 15, that people are going to be fighting because of famine, stealing from each other because of famine, shooting people up because of famine, stealing from people because of famine. They're not going to regard their neighbors. That's the man, woman, child, age, gender. If you're sick, health, it don't matter. Quadriplegic, paraplegic, it doesn't matter. Couch potato, it doesn't matter. They taking medicine, battles and all, draws and all. All right? Women, kids, all. That's going to be during the time of famine and for great tribulation, which means affliction, hard times. All right? Going into what? Jacob's trouble, man. The worst time there has ever been since it was a nation. Hey, this is the time of perplexity, man. People not knowing what to do and lacking resources and not knowing which way to turn. All right? It says a declaration is typically justified when there is an unusual and extraordinary threat to national security, foreign policy, or the economy, and must be accompanied by a jurisdiction from the president. Key aspects of presidential emergency declarations initiation. I mean, you can pretty much read this, man. I'll read it. Initiation: the president can initiate the declaration unilaterally, triggering access to a range of powers granted by the National Emergencies Act. Justification: the declaration requires a justification for the need to act outside normal processes, often concerning threats to national security or the economy. And we see the economy tanking, man. They're trying to finish. All right, so they're going to use all of this, and they're going to be justified, as you see, justification. So they're going to be justified in their acts. Powers available. A declaration unlocks over 120 statutory powers, such as restricting financial transactions, deploying military forces, and regulating commerce. Come on, man. What do you think these troops out in 19 states for? All right? They send them with armed. All right? And you best believe they're going to go to other states. It says presidents are required to report in the Congress. Presidents are required to report to Congress periodically on actions taken and the associated costs of the emergency declaration. Purpose: the overarching goal is to provide the federal government with the flexibility to respond quickly to crises that require rapid action, meaning quick action. So things are going to happen and they're going to move quick. You say, how can they move quick? Because they are already there. That's what we're telling y'all. So, hey, by way of the Holy Spirit, the things already set up, the siege is set. All right? Everything is here. They're just waiting for that big event, and they're going to make it happen. All right? For what? Rapid action, quick action. Okay? So the things are going to happen, and they're already there to respond quickly. The laws are already in place on the books. They already got it mapped out what they're going to do. Hey, that's that Micah. Let's get that joint real quick. That Micah 2:1. Micah 2:1. Woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. You see? So, hey, this stuff is already planned. It says examples of past emergencies. Presidential declarations have been made for events such as 2001 September 11 attacks. I said it like that for a reason. The 2020 CV-19 pandemic, and to address border issues or economic policies, notes the New York Times. You see? So everything is already set, man. All right? Now, real quick, it's this article right here, because I just want to make this point real quick. It says, we got this covered one day ago. Bring back public executions. Pete Hegseth's ex-pastor has unveiled his immigration solution. So, bring back public execution. You said that ain't in the scriptures. Ho. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hey, Yahweh Shai was publicly executed. He said the servant is not greater than his Lord. And these beheadings, public executions, is going to be done in front of the people to bring forth fear. And when you get that 2 Ezra 16, it says Esau is going to be like a madman, spoiling none, spoiling and destroying. Okay? That's public execution, man. All right? That's public execution. As a matter of fact, let's just get that real quick. Public execution is in the scriptures. Yahweh Shai went through it. We're going to go through it. What are they doing it for? To bring forth fear so people can bow the knee. And they want the elect because they know 2/3 is done, man. All right? Now, you get right here, 2 Ezra 16. And 71, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling, taking, and destroying, killing those that fear the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah. And that's the Israelites, man. That's us, the so-called Negroes, Native American Indians, Hispanics, Latinos, Jamaicans, and Haitians, man. Now, again, back to this video, I'm gonna let them speak, man. This will be a while for this video to go up, man. I don't know how long it's gonna take.
She's so cute. She's cute. Statistically, more
Big
people
shit, man.
have
Y'all
birthdays in
gonna have to
August
wait till
than
tomorrow.
any other. News out of Washington, D.C.
Washington Post, Pentagon plans military deployment in Chicago. All right. Now, we just brought out the information, but I just want you to hear them speak. All right. But we here, man. Shalom.
News out of Washington, D.C. tonight with major implications for Chicago. The Washington Post is reporting that the Pentagon has been working on a plan for weeks that could potentially deploy thousands of National Guard troops right here in Chicago. That just a day after President Trump said he's considering a major intervention in Chicago to crack down on crime. Our political reporter, Paris Schutz, standing by now with the latest developments in this potential showdown between the city and state and the federal government. Paris. Yeah, Dane, we're just getting a reaction right now as this broke from the Washington Post about an hour or so ago. And what the Washington Post is reporting is that the Pentagon has engaged in plans to potentially send thousands of National Guard or military service members here to Chicago as soon as September. That's all we know from the Washington Post reporting. Now, the governor learned about this the same way we did. From the article, he says that the Trump administration has not coordinated with him on deploying the National Guard here to Chicago. But of course, yesterday in the Oval Office, Trump alluded to the fact that he does want to do this. This comes on the heels of calling in the National Guard to Washington, D.C. He says it's to keep the peace. He says it's to promote public safety in a city that has suffered from a high crime rate, just like Chicago, although, just like Chicago, murders are down about 30% or so through the first half of this year, both in D.C. and Chicago and other big cities across the country. Now, Illinois is very different than Washington, D.C. It's a state the governor has to request the National Guard. The president cannot unilaterally send the National Guard here, except under very rare circumstances, Dana. We'll get to that, but let's listen to the president's own words on his disdain for the leadership here in Chicago and his belief that he has the right to send military troops.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this, and it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago.
And the governor did issue a long statement in response as he's learning of this news. He says, quote, the state of Illinois at this time has received no requests or outreach from the federal government asking if we need assistance, and if we have made no requests for federal intervention. The safety of the people of Illinois is always my top priority. There is no emergency that warrants the President of the United States federalizing the Illinois National Guard, deploying the National Guard from other states, or sending active duty military within our own borders. Donald Trump is attempting to manufacture a crisis, politicize Americans who serve in uniform, and continue abusing his power to distract from the pain he is causing working families. We will continue to follow the law, stand up for the sovereignty of our state, and protect the people of Illinois. No response, Dane, from the mayor right now. Should be mentioned that the governor does have to call the National Guard. The last time it happened was in 2021 in anticipation of potential riots or protests after the murder, or the shooting, I should say, the killing of Adam Toledo, the young man. The Illinois National Guard is typically called in situations like that. Their main duties are to guard critical infrastructure or to assist in traffic management. Usually their big vehicles can block off, streets where there might be danger or there might be protests. They're not trained to be police day to day, so it's not clear what kind of training or what kind of duty or what reason the president is using to send the National Guard or the military here, whether it's to assist immigration officials, to assist police and public safety, homelessness. We just don't know at this point, as this is just reporting coming from the Washington Post, but we will monitor reaction as we get it, Dane. Paris, you've been talking on your show, Paris on Politics, all week about the potential of this happening. It's been in the air for a while. What are the legal experts telling you about the feasibility of sending National Guard troops to a city or state where the political leaders say they're not needed?
Well, the federal law and the Constitution is very clear. There's the Posse Comitatus Act, which says that this is the purview of the governor. The governor has to call the National Guard. The president, under law, cannot unilaterally send military or the National Guard onto American city streets in states. D.C. is the District of Columbia. Obviously, that's a different situation. Except there are very rare exceptions. And I've learned this from talking to some legal experts and the Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul. President could declare the Insurrection Act. President could declare a rebellion against the government as our justification, or a foreign invasion. As you know, Dane, he did deploy National Guard troops in Los Angeles against the wishes of the governor there. That is being litigated in courts. The governor there says this is illegal. That is still going through the legal process, whether the president was against the law in what he did. But it's pretty clear. It's very unusual to declare the Insurrection Act. It has almost rarely in the history of the country been invoked. There's no objective rationale that would say, that would determine that the conditions we're facing currently in Chicago would amount to, quote unquote, an insurrection or a rebellion or a foreign invasion. Although the Trump messaging strategy has been to call some of the undocumented immigration that's happened an invasion. That's his messaging. Although the other messaging is that they've gotten illegal crossings down to almost nothing. So we'll have to see. These are messaging strategies that contradict each other. Which messaging strategy the Trump administration will go to, as they believe they have justification for this, if they indeed do this. But again, no doubt, this will be litigated then, because the governor has indicated he has seen no reason to call the National Guard, and it is his purview under law to do that.
It's going to wind up in court, certainly. Paris, thanks for your time tonight.
No doubt.
The analysis.
And you see,
I've been bartending for 20.
You see, we're in a time of prophecy. So all this, it has never been done, but this is the time where it's going to be done. All right? This is the time of prophecy, man. All right? The time of prophecy. So, hey, say prayed up in the names of Yahweh Shema Shai. This stuff is going to happen soon, man. What we've been waiting for. It's time to go home, man. Lift up. It's time for us to continue to lift up our heads and hands and keep them up, because our salvation draw off now, man. The Heavenly Father, how about to send you how shall very soon, man. A few more prophecies, man. Let's get it going. Because, hey, once they do this, you know what's next to follow? This B system, this digital system, this MOTB. And at any given time after that, once it's made mandatory with this mark of the beast, that Revelation 13:16 on down, hey, watch World War III. It's going to be to the highest point to where, hey, they can be ready to let loose. And Yahweh Shai going to be right there, man. Shalom.